Well, Ann Coulter, of course, best-selling author, great columnist, and one of the best tweeters on Twitter. Follow Ann Coulter on Twitter and go to AnnCoulter.com. And if you haven't read her latest book, Resistance is Futile, very important book to read, even for Democrats. Also, some of her other books, like High Crimes and Misdemeanors. You can get them at AnnCoulter.com or on Amazon. Ann Coulter, how you doing?
Fantastic. How are you, Mark Simone?
Very good. High Crimes and Misdemeanors. Have you seen any in the last year or two?
No, we're stuck in Nietzsche's eternal recurrence. It's just going to be the same thing over and over and over. They have no new arguments. They're doing the Kavanaugh playbook, where once the trial has begun, I guess we can call the Senate confirmation of a Republican nominee. Anyway, it's more like a criminal trial. They'll just keep dropping new bits of information that now we need to investigate this. It's Julie Swetnick. It's Lev Parnov, and now John Bolton. There's nothing new here. Even the cliches, 2 + 2 = 4. Even those are all the same. So I will not be writing about impeachment this week, but I have been able to catch up on my reading.
I love this Lev Parnaz.
Okay, Mr. Simone. That was your guy's friend.
He never met the guy except the guy paid $100.
He has a 1-hour tape recording. What is he doing? What is Giuliani doing around with such a sleazebag? And by the way, what is such a sleazebag doing in our country?
The guy paid
I don't even have to reach to come up with a problem with immigration. What on earth? Do we just, search the globe? Send us your operators. What we need is some dirtbag developer in Florida, because we don't have enough of them.
Well, but every president, you pay $100,000 to sit next to him at the donor dinner. Gets these guys. Remember, who was the guy the Clintons had? Wuhan Park or whatever his name was. Remember that guy?
I do it very distinctly. There were literally duffels of cash being dragged in by the Chinese to the DNC. You young people don't remember that. That isn't a metaphor. No, there were duffels of cash being dragged in by the Chinese. A violation of campaign finance laws, by the way, and that one's actually kind of a big one. He was holding fundraisers with the president in the White House, also a violation of federal law. No, all of this gets brushed under the rug.
Yeah.
Yet and still, we did think Trump was going to be different. To say he's no worse than Clinton isn't a recommendation. I mean, one of the reasons that Trump was such an attractive candidate, despite his many, many, many disabilities, was that he didn't seem like he was just going to be a whore to the donors. And what has he become?
No, there's a big difference. Listen, this Lev Parnas gets to sit at the luncheon. He knows this talking with Trump there is like the only time in his life he's going to talk to him, so he records it. If that were Clinton, Lev Parnas would be in the Lincoln bedroom all week.
Okay, fair point. I guess I'm thinking more about, and people, I don't even dislike on everything. It's just that it's, hijacks the entire administration. Sheldon Adelson and Paul Singer. I mean, for Pete's sake, Paul Singer is getting an audience, and Trump, hopping to, affecting whatever these guys want, their peculiar little idiosyncratic interests, to the detriment of the 80,000 people who put Trump over the edge in 4 states, and that is how he won. But Paul Singer, Mark, he funded the dossier. Okay, it was before GPS Fusion or Fusion GPS got involved. He funded the dossier, but Trump jumps when Paul Singer says jump and still isn't sure if he'll endorse Jeff Sessions.
Well, that Jeff Sessions, that was the worst.
No, Jeff Sessions was a magnificent human being. The only one who was good on immigration, the first senator to endorse this lunatic, Donald Trump. I mean, everyone acts like Trump was just, your regular establishment Republican. It was pretty much you, me, Jeff Sessions, and Chris Kobach were the only people anyone had ever heard of who were endorsing Trump for, the first 12 months he was running. Everyone he brought in were the ones who were feverishly working to keep him out of the White House. Everyone he's listening to now were the people he was feverishly worked to keep him out of the White House.
Hey, what about John Bolton? Is he just trying to sell a book?
That seems to be the line Fox News is taking. I have a different take on Bolton, and apparently Michael Flynn will also be testifying or turning against Trump here. And let's not forget. What's his name? Who was the Goldman Sachs guy? Oh, Gary Cohn. Yeah, he was fantastic. And so what I'm thinking is, when President Trump entered the Oval Office, instead of hiring people who hated him and had spent their entire lives pushing policies that were the direct opposite of what Trump had promised us, what we voted for him for, and in this particular case, Bolton and Flynn, I am speaking of Trump saying no more pointless Middle East wars. He said it before in that famously in the South Carolina debate. South Carolina, the most militaristic state in the Union. And that was the one where Trump said, I'm sorry, I just find this hilarious. I'm sure I've mentioned it on your show before. But when Trump said that, pointed at Jeb and said his brother lied us into the war in Iraq.
Yeah.
And, every Republican wanted to shoot Trump. No, it wasn't lies. It may have been good policy. It may have been bad policy. It wasn't based on lies. That's a stupid liberal line. But anyway, he was booed by the South Carolina audience. And then 2 days later, who sweeps the South Carolina primary? Donald Trump. Americans are sick of war, sick of it. And he promised us he was going to get us out of these wars. And then he hires the two biggest warmongers in the universe. I mean, if you're going to hire people that aren't, where it's not based on principle, you want to bring in people, it seems to me, for one thing, who agree with your agenda so that you get your agenda accomplished. But you also want to bring in people who agree with your agenda because they're compatriots, because we're fighting for the same thing. That isn't the kind of person who's going to turn around and betray you. A maneuverer, a general. Oh, yeah, and Trump's love for the generals. Generals are the worst. Ask any military. What are they famous for? Being kiss-ups and brown-nosers. You know how you become a general? You think of generals as like Patton. Oh, no. There are no more Pattons. Generals have to be confirmed just like Brett Kavanaugh did, just like Supreme Court nominees. So while Republican senators are asking questions like, well, do the troops respect him? Is he a good leader? How is he? How are his battle plans? The Democrats ask questions like, has he promoted enough women? Anyone who becomes a general in this day and age is by definition a weasel and turncoat.
Well, it is a very political thing to become a general. You have to be very Mitt Romney-ish to be a general.
No, that's right. But Trump seems to think he's getting Patton.
Well,
his personnel decisions have left a lot, as we have discussed from the beginning. He has surrounded himself with people who oppose his agenda, and I couldn't be laughing harder when they turn against him.
Oh, that's terrible. What about Hunter Biden? Hey, whenever I watch Chuck Todd, and you bring up Hunter Biden, he always says, that's been totally debunked.
Yes.
Where was this debunking? I can't seem to find this debunking.
Well, I think David Jolly conceded the point, or maybe it was Michael Steele. For the listeners who are not regular viewers of MSNBC, they have this bevy of people with only kind of a dim connection to the Republican Party, whom they treat like, we're interviewing Abraham Lincoln or Ronald Reagan back from the dead. Who is this David Jolly?
Or Michael Steele, who was the RNC chairman for about 2 weeks in 1986 or something.
Yeah, he's been a disappointment to me.
And Morning Joe saying that Trump has a confederacy of dunces. This is a guy who's sitting on a panel with Donnie Deutsch and Al Sharpton.
Excellent point. But no, you're right. And thank you for mentioning this. The description of the Burisma business was very good, and I realize this is the first time I've heard it on television, watching the impeachment hearings. It is funny how the media. This is more what I will not be writing about impeachment. Like I say, I've been catching up on my reading, so I have much more interesting things to write about in my column this week. But one is, I mean, it's funny how CNN and MSNBC are so wistfully reminiscing about the days of Watergate. The crucial point of Watergate is there were only 3 television networks and a few national newspapers, and they could remove a president, no fuss and bother. That's what they want to go back to. And they don't realize with this Burisma stuff that the fact that their entire analysis of it is that's been discredited.
It's not, but hey, we're out of time. But everybody get Ann Coulter's latest book, Resistance is Futile, and some of her other books. High Crimes and Misdemeanors is a good book to read right now. And
for a good impeachment. Now that one was fun.
Now a new column comes out tonight. Follow Ann Coulter on Twitter. You can get it there, or you can go to AnnCoulter.com. And Ann Coulter, thanks for being with us.
Good to talk to you, Mark Simone. Bye-bye.
Take care.